So I got a microphone. I got two to be exact. I haven't posted anything on YouTube in about 2 months now. Shit, maybe going on 3. It's been strange. It's been interesting. I think maybe I just got to a point where I cared way too much about what people thought. I started to get in this love-hate relationship thing with like social media, like I always do. I've always had a really, really bad relationship with social media. It's sunny as hell. I'm gonna put this hat around. I've always had a really bad love-hate relationship with social media as a whole, feeling like I have to brand everything a certain kind of way. That's probably the reason why I got this damn mic in the first place, which, by the way, how cool is that? Got my fuzzy slippers mic. It's been a rough time for me on a personal level. Not trying to do the woe is me financial stuff or anything like that. Just life is rough, man. Like, the country is at war. People are getting deployed off to fight about some shit that has nothing to do with them. I live in LA, as you can see. I'm up here on my roof. Beautiful LA, and nobody can afford to live here anymore, honestly. It's like really frustrating to watch so many people leave. It makes you think about if you want to stay, if it's worth it, especially when you look at the industry. And right now, the industry is just doing everything other than what you came here for, Verticals is the new wave for so many things, but you could tell it's just like, at least to me, it feels like it's just a trend, Traditional film, it feels like you have to bring your own audience with you to the theater, I don't know if that's really doing anything for what I want to do in my career, I just know I love movies. I'm an overthinker, I love making movies. I love making short films. I love writing scripts. I love being into the art of it all. And there's so much of the business of it all that gets integrated into all of this that just makes it not fun all the time, My last wave of video uploads were all about my film, The Other Foot, which is a short film about sexual consent from the perspective of men keeping each other accountable. And I found myself feeling frustrated with the fight between trying to beat algorithms and understand social media and all these different things. What's the best times to post and the best rollouts for these things, and just wanting people to see what I'm working on. And I think a part of me is like, it shouldn't be this hard. Like, I feel like I'm more like a tech specialist sometimes than a filmmaker, trying to figure out what's the best ways to roll things. I'm not really a business guy. I'm not really like, I wish I had a manager or an agent or something who could help promote my stuff. So I would only have to focus on creating the art, But it's weird when you have a product on your hands that feels really important and that, people stand up for and are excited about, but you don't necessarily know how to put it out, The festival run is over. I went through the festival run. We got about 18 denials from different festivals. And we got 4 acceptances, and those 4 acceptances were really, really dope. I was really grateful for it. There was one that was back home in PG County. That was for the Prince George's Film Festival, which is like new to me because I'm like, oh shit, we got a film festival, There was one in Newark, New Jersey, where I used to live just right up the street in East Orange, and Helena's from East Orange and Maplewood. So, that's like the biggest film festival, I guess urban film festival in that area that we know of. So that was cool, 'cause she produced it. We had one that was in Canada, the Toronto International Black Film Festival. And that was really dope because, I'm like, oh shit, like niggas are seeing my stuff in a whole different country right now. And there's a part of me that's always wanted to move to Canada anyway. So I'm like, that's cool, And then of course the biggest one that we got was the Pan-African Film Festival here in LA. It's an Oscar qualifying festival. And I was just so happy by the time it got to PAF that I was hoping that, people would just, I think I was happy that people would just see it And at the same time, there was another part of me that was feeling like, damn, like I don't want my hopes to get too high, because when you let your hopes get high, you only leave yourself open for disappointment, you know? And I was like, let me just enjoy the fact that people are watching my film, embracing it, loving it, enjoying it. And there's something cool that I could say, like, yo, if my film were to win a festival like this, it could be an Oscar qualifier. That's pretty cool, you know what I mean? And I met so many beautiful people at the festival. I made so much dope connections. It was the first time I ever got to see something that I created received in that kind of way, where there was so much positive feedback, you know? Um, and for a minute there, I'm not gonna lie, I thought we was about to win that jump. It definitely seemed like it was in the top. I had never really seen a situation like that before, where I created something and there was so much buzz around it from the people who were at the festival, telling people, yo, you gotta go see this film. It's so important. It's so dope. Woo, woo, woo. You know what I mean? And at the same time, I think maybe my ego got in the way a little bit. And that's why I hate thinking about like success and clout and stuff like that. I only want to make the art. I only care about the art, yo. I really only care about the art and doing stuff in a way that feels genuine and authentic to the viewer experience. Because all that other stuff can be blinding and misleading, you know? Shortly after, it's funny because I think there was a small part of me that after a year-long run of wanting people to see your film and it not getting accepted into multiple festivals, and it feels like people just don't see it as valuable, or all these different kind of things, and it's about something that's so important but seemingly controversial, and it seems like people are afraid to touch, you know? I was just really excited that maybe there could be an accolade associated with it, you know? Maybe there would be some sort of article that says that we won, and, you know, people need to go see this film, and it could be something that could be transcendent to my career in some capacity. Just dreaming. You know, filmmakers, we just be dreaming. Honestly. Through the process of all of this shit, I wrote an article on Substack. Uh, I'm going to link it in the description. And it was all about the process of making this film. It was all about the ups and downs and my understanding and relationship to hypermasculinity and, you know, sexual health politics and consent and all these different kind of things. And as I wrote this very long article detailing my motivation for making this film and why I thought it was important, and it's almost like a super extended director's statement or something, you know, I got to the end and I realized that the journey of making this film was always about me having to shed my ego. It was always about me having to let go of being invested in the outcomes and just loving the process and knowing that when you're doing the work would already be done if it was received in that kind of way. It's a fucking film about sexual assault and men taking accountability for their actions. A lot of niggas just don't want to see that. You know what I mean? And given the current circumstances of everything going on, we done seen a whole Diddy trial over the course of a year, only for the nigga to get a slap on the wrist. We done seen Epstein files come out just for niggas to ignore it, and nobody gets in trouble in this country, even though in other countries niggas is getting reprimanded left and right, you know? And people are still being sexually assaulted and abused, you know? There's a documentary on Hulu right now about this nigga Nature Boy and how he's a sexual deviant and manipulator, hotep nigga who done started a cult. The shit wild, you feel me? I've been watching a 44-part documentary on YouTube and doses about this shit, and it's like the only thing it has me thinking is like, man, this is why I made this film in the first place. This shit is crazy, you know? And it can be a little discouraging. It really can, you know? And at the same time, I have to sit here and be extremely thankful for the fact that I've never been a victim of sexual assault myself. I can empathize with those who've been victimized by it. I have to think about my why. And, you know, I think sometimes I can be a bit of a freedom fighter to a fault. You have to pick and choose your battles. And sometimes when I look at the bigger picture of America, what this country is, what the social norms are, what the internet culture is here, troll culture, all this kind of shit. I'm like, man, sometimes that's why I feel like it's not even worth it. It's me being real vulnerable right now, just being honest, you know? And if I'm being completely honest, I think that's kind of why I stopped posting on YouTube. I initially started my channel to say, man, I just want to have fun. I just want to create some shit that doesn't have to involve itself with being perfect. I don't have to think about perfect cinematography and composition and storytelling and all these other kind of things that I try to put into my art as a filmmaker day to day, day in and day out. You know what I'm saying? And I think I got caught in that same trap as it related to my actual art. And I was putting up content that had to deal with my actual filmmaking, you know? And at the festival, it felt so cool that people were actually engaging with me and interested in, you know, the work that I was doing. I was like, oh man, well, I'm feeling one way about the fact that, you know, it didn't necessarily win the festival, which I'm not no hater. The film that did win the festival was fucking fire. It was good. It was just good. It was called The Black Bart of Taco King 17 or some shit like that. Very random. But the bitch was good. It was shot well. Looked like it could be on the movie screen tomorrow. And you knew there was a feature coming along with it. But a very experienced director. Very beautiful cinematography. Great editing. It was a good film. So there's no hate in my heart for that, as much as there was a little bit of disappointment because I think my ego was in front of me and it was like, man, I want people to see that all of this wasn't for nothing, you know? And sometimes in doing shit like that, you know, you end up discrediting all of the work that you did do. You discredit the work that you did do and the way that it was received and the people who it did touch. You limit yourself. And I think I was nervous about editing that footage from the festival because there's a part of me that's like, it's over now anyway. It doesn't matter. I didn't win. Stupid, you know? There was a part of me that was feeling like, oh, and then there was other things. Like I went to, you know, the Clippers game, and they honored me for Black History Month while I was working for Ghetto Film School, my old job at Ghetto Film School, which I'll probably be back teaching this summer. But, you know, I had been laid off last year. So it's weird, you know, when you get with the Ghetto Film School family, you always family. You know, there's no taking that away at all. You always come through. You're always a part of community. When I was laid off, it was for reasons that went completely beyond our direct programming in LA, you know. And trust and believe they wanted to keep me. They just couldn't. But I think in the middle of my own struggle, you know, the things that we don't talk about as artists all the time, and maybe some artists do, but I know in LA specifically, it seems like there's always this performance aspect. Like we have to perform and pretend like we got it all together. And we don't. We just don't. You know what I'm saying? Like I've been unemployed for like a year and some change, really. Like a year and a half now. Thugging it, figuring it out, doing headshots, taking random ass gigs where I can, applying for everything. Everything. And I feel like you can't get hired nowhere, you know? Like, it's just been a journey. It's been a journey. And, you know, anytime you go on LinkedIn or Glassdoor or any of these different places to try to apply for shit, you look and you see it's like 1,000 people applied for this opportunity. You know, how the fuck the whole city out of work, you know? I talked to some of my peers, people who I thought had they shit all the way together. Come to find out, they've been unemployed for like a year, you know? I don't know if it's just this DEI thing with the administration that's in office right now and the fact that they don't have to hire blacks. But it's like people who I know who are highly qualified and really doing their shit, and they just can't find a job, you know? How do you survive in the most expensive city in the country when you can't put food on your table day to day? That shit takes a toll on your mental health. It takes a toll on your relationship. It takes a toll on your just being okay in your body as a man. You're supposed to feel like a provider, you know? Like I said, it's just the real. It's been hard for me. You know, I haven't always had the motivation to sit down and want to edit lifestyle content or vlogs or what's going on in my life. I've been recording shit. I just ain't edited because editing takes time. And sometimes I'll be thinking to myself, what's the point, man? You know, I don't really see the purpose in taking the time to sit and edit some shit when it's not necessarily making me money. I don't have no intentions to be a professional YouTuber and make money from this thing necessarily, you know. I just want to be authentic. I want to be authentic to me. That's why I got this damn pink mic, because I was like, my logo is pink. And how fly would it be to have a little pink microphone with the pink, you know, foam on the top? Fuck it, just being authentic. You know, what's felt authentic to me is needing rest, if I'm being honest with myself. What's felt authentic to me during this time period more than anything has been needing rest, needing a reset, needing love. You know what I'm saying? So I've been sitting playing Pokemon. If I'm being completely honest, I've been in the crib playing Pokemon Silver on my Game Boy Advance. You know what I'm saying? Not Game Boy Advance, my Game Boy Color, old Game Boy Color. That was cold. I hadn't played that in years. I've been playing Pokemon, what is it, Legends or some shit? I think it's Pokemon Legends on the Switch. I've been watching movies with Helena, and I've just been resting. I've been making plans, thinking about what's next. You know what I mean? How do you sustain long term? Me and Helena want to travel, man. You know? We want to really get out of here, see what life might look like in another country if we wanted to raise children there. If we do stay in the States, where do we want to raise children? We're not sure if we want to raise children in LA specifically. What's that look like as opposed to raising children back in DC where I'm from, you know, or back in Maryland, you know, in the DMV area. It's just been interesting. But what I can say is that I've been taking the time to take care of my own mental health first, you know. Believe it or not, I actually stopped therapy for a little bit, you know. Stopped therapy because I was like, I really want to see if I can handle some of this life shit on my own. I've been appreciative for my therapist and all the things that, you know, she's helped me to get through finding out that I got ADHD at 34 years old, through, you know, my father's death, through food stamps and goddamn poverty, through the overthinking, hyper focus moments, you know what I'm saying? I got to a certain point where I said, man, I need to get out of problem solving mode. I need to get out of a place of always analyzing and breaking down and thinking about what I need to do to fix my life and change my life and just start living, just start being present, you know? So that's caused me to step back from social media a lot. Things like Instagram, TikTok, which I deleted TikTok anyway after all that little Israel shit. You know what I'm saying? Threads. Even though Threads is one of the better ones. Can't lie. You know what I mean? Every so often I still try to post on there just to not completely get fucked up by the algorithm and get pushed to the bottom of everything, you know, in case I got something I want to put out. But it's just so much that you can't differentiate between with this AI stuff. You know what I'm saying? With negative news all the time politically, you know, your algorithm really be algorithming. And I would just be like, yo, it's almost like Helena said to me, how Tyler the Creator was talking about, like, I think internet bullying is like the stupidest shit in the fucking world because, like, just fucking log off. And it's real. You feel me? It's real as shit. It's like, yo, why do I have to subject myself to a bunch of negative news and updates about what's going on in the country and everything? That's one thing to stay informed. I get that. I'm not trying to relinquish my civic duty as an American, as a black man, as a conscious person to just not care. But when it starts to come at your own expense, at your mental health, at a certain point, you got to tap out. I see a lot of people unable to tap out right now. A lot of people are having trouble with the idea of letting go of that which doesn't serve them. I don't want to fall in that category. You know what I'm saying? I need to touch grass and realize something's real out here. You know what I'm saying? Generations before us didn't have to deal with they had a newspaper at best. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the news once TV dropped. Radio stations, you know, if you get a real emergency that's right in front of you, sure, yeah, you deal with it. But a lot of that shit was propaganda, and people knew how to just deal with what was directly in front of them, what affected their day-to-day reality. and not feel responsible for all of the atrocities of the world around them. And I think that's something really important that I'm trying to lean into as well, to heal that Messiah complex that so many people have, that feels like you have to attack everything and be socially responsible for everything and conscious of everything. Shit is impossible. And it's a lot to deal with. It's a lot to put on yourself. It's a lot of weight to carry on your shoulders alone. And what I found personally is that I've been having trouble because it's been making me feel like I'm having more trouble connecting to God. You know, I don't talk about my religious views or spiritual beliefs very often because I think that it creates dispersion. I think that we have a lot more in common than we have different from each other. And spirituality at its root is a core belief in something larger, something bigger that drives us to want to be better and do better. I think sometimes when religion becomes a focus, it creates a chasm, creates a gaping fucking barrier between us, when really we need more unity, and we need more love, and we need more understanding and more softness with each other, less judgment. I'm extremely close to God. I'm extremely faithful. Maybe not in everybody's traditional sense of the word, for sure. I have a very close relationship with God, usually. And as of recently, I just haven't been feeling that, man. I haven't been feeling that connection. Maybe somewhere since, my father's death. Maybe even a little bit before, but I think especially since my father's death, I haven't felt as close to God. I haven't felt as close to my ancestors. I haven't felt as close to my father. I think there's a lot of grieving that's still taking place silently. And grief is a weird thing because, you feel like, in one sense, you good. Like, I feel fine. I can go outside, I can crack jokes, I laugh with friends and whatever, I see pictures of my dad. Sometimes I feel nothing. And other times, it's like a wave of everything just hits you and you like, fuck, I miss you. Sometimes you hold random resentment, like, why couldn't you have done this better? Why couldn't you have been this? Why couldn't you have done that? And at the same time, you have so much empathy because you understand all of what they were going through, and a lot of what they were going through, you start to learn on the back end when it's too late, when they're gone, you can't talk about it with them, All those things, man, have been on my spirit, have been on my mind. And at the same time, I've just been thinking about feeding myself. I've been thinking about my clothes and how I don't feel fly, I don't feel confident, The best thing I've been able to do is to get back in the gym. I've been focusing on that, trying to change my body up. So I'm trying to be Prequan, trying to be Saquon, but I know Saquon a whole NFL running back. Trying to be Prequan, you know what I'm saying? Something close to it. I'm trying to really lock in on my health, not for the aesthetic purposes, not for the ego, but with the intentions of just feeling better and doing better and living better, not going out like my daddy, making sure I can get this high blood pressure down, relieving stress, you know what I'm saying? And it's just been a lot of stuff on my mind, It's been making me feel very uncertain. And that's why I sat down today. I said, let me just go into a quiet place. So I went right up to the roof while Helena took a shower and shit. We about to go driving, get her more comfortable behind the wheel, But yeah, man, I just need to come and find some silence, some peace, reflect, and think about, why haven't I posted a video in so long on YouTube, And also I have to think to myself, like, ain't nobody looking for me. Ain't nobody checking for me. Ain't nobody looking to see what I'm doing. Not for real, for real. If they checking that hard, they'll text my ass, It's all the matrix, the internet. It's all the matrix, But one thing that I am is a documentarian by nature. That's how I fell in love with filmmaking, How I fell in love with my craft is as a documentarian. Having a camcorder and, being able to go and talk to my friends when we was in high school, pulling them in the back stairwells and interviewing them about life. What do you think about sex before marriage? What do you think about having a black president? What do you want to be When you grow up in 10 years, how do you see your life? What are your views on whatever the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Hood politics shit. Like, not with any intention of going viral or anything like that. It's just documenting the times, remembering that this moment mattered. I still have a lot of that footage, you know? I'm gonna edit something up one of these days and put it on YouTube as well. Once I get back into the fold, you know? Some of it. Anything that's not incriminating. You feel me? But like, it's important to document the times we're living in. The only way to it is through it. You have to grow through it, you know? And shit don't be easy at all. It don't. This life shit is not easy. But it could always be worse, you know? I recently downloaded Snapchat. I be using this little Snap Map. It's the coolest little feature. I didn't know about this shit for real because I hadn't used Snapchat in years for real. And I just been silently going through and choosing different parts of the world and clicking in and just watching what life looks like in different places, you know? Some places, that shit is so beautiful. It's like, man, there's more places in the world than just here. And at the same time, it's other places where I'm like, God damn, it's rough. And even still, they're finding ways to laugh and spend time with family and just appreciate what's right in front of them, living in real gratitude, true gratitude. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to work my way back to, a space of real, genuine gratitude and growth and love and freedom. You know what I'm saying? And my birthday is coming up in about 2 weeks. I'll be 35. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, what do I really want from this next upcoming year? You know, and I think what I need is some real stability. And stability doesn't even always have to be strictly financial, you know, as much as it might just be a spiritual stability, you know what I'm saying, emotional stability, some real level of contentness with life and happiness. And don't get me wrong, I'm always generally content, but I mean, like, I want to feel some joy from life again, you know? And I think a lot of that comes with family. A lot of that comes with familiarity, people who you know who genuinely love you. I know I got a beautiful community out here who loves me. And, you know, at the same time, in a lot of ways, sometimes I feel like my identity out here is what I can do for people, who I am to people as a community leader, and what I do as a creative. And one thing that I appreciate about being back home is that nobody gives a fuck who I am or what I do. They just love me for me, you know? I say I'm a filmmaker. They're like, oh, so you could shoot a wedding, right? So, you know, I'm looking forward to going back home for my niece's graduation. She graduating high school, you know. My other nieces have been going through their own things, you know, medical stuff and everything like that. I missed a lot chasing my dreams, being a creative, you know what I'm saying? And the thing is, there's always going to be another goal. There's always going to be another benchmark to hit. There's always going to be another opportunity. But time, you can't get time back, you know? And I miss so much. I miss so much trying to be a provider and a creative and a community leader. And I think this next year, I just need a little bit of a reset. You know what I mean? So I'm going to try to spend a little more time back home and tapping in with my family and my friends, you know. I got friends who I've been friends with since 8th grade. Still my niggas to this day. To this day. To this day. You feel me? That's a lot of people can't say that. You know what I'm saying? Especially out here when you a transplant. You know what I mean? Somebody alarm going off over there. But, you know, when you a transplant in a different city that doesn't belong to you. I moved a lot. I've lived in New York. I've lived in New Jersey. I spent a little bit of time in Atlanta very briefly. And then out here, you know. And, man, I miss my folks. I can't lie. I miss a lot. I miss a lot, man. What I don't miss is the struggle and this type of shit, if y'all can hear that. Alarms going off every morning. My neighbor coughing his lungs out because he can't stop smoking cigarettes. Cracktivities in that alley behind my house. People talking to themselves, screaming. People literally fist fighting and then kissing and crying at the same time. Smoking crack. Taking a shit. This shit is chaotic, you feel me? I'm like 4 blocks from MacArthur Park. If y'all know what that is, you know what I'm saying? MacArthur Park is notorious. Is wild over there. You feel me? It's Westlake. That's where they shot Training Day. This shit get real. You know what I'm saying? And I always say I make poor look really, really good. Really good. You know what I'm saying? I always have. But I'm just looking for a little bit of a reset, man. I am. So my plan is to lock back in, slow down, do my best to start creating again. You know what I'm saying? For fun. For fun. You know what I mean? Editing YouTube videos for fun, making short films and series, putting them out on YouTube for fun, writing scripts for fun. I'm still gonna copyright them motherfuckers, but I'm putting them on Substack. You feel me? Just putting the work out there, because right now, if there's one thing that's clear in my industry as a filmmaker, is that nothing is guaranteed. That's been the conversation. I think nothing was ever guaranteed, for sure. But even with the masters from the best film school in the fucking country, you know what I'm saying? We be getting job opportunities from the school to be some bullshit. We try to pay you $20 an hour. Assistant jobs will pay you $17 an hour and shit, with room for overtime and all. It's like, yo, what did I spend all this money on school for, man? Sometimes you gotta laugh to keep from crying. We just came in the industry at a very interesting time, but we also have all of the upside in front of us, you know? We have the opportunity to create direct-to-consumer distribution through all types of platforms where people will just look at your shit. And if you got a good story, you could tell it. But it's really hard to do that when you got to worry about survival day to day as well. And that's what I've been experiencing, is navigating this space of looking for how to survive, just how to live and survive day to day. And I thought it's just me. I look up, all my friends going through the same thing. Half of my community going through the same thing, unless you got you a good little corporate situation where you can lock in, you know? I'm looking forward to getting back to just creating for fun, off the love, because when art meets the business, your art suffers. Your art becomes tied to your survival. It don't feel good as more. I do headshots, but that shit is my primary survival a lot of times. I barely do other types of photography anymore. That shit breaks my heart. It's like I need to get out and just shoot, you know? Sometimes I'm afraid to even take my camera out just to go shoot, because if something happens to it, if it breaks, if it gets stolen, whatever, boop, 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 that's a piece of my livelihood that could be fucked up, because I use that same camera to take headshots, you know? So I don't take it out the house anymore. I used to have my camera on me everywhere I went, you know? I had a camera out here that I kept with me everywhere I went, a little film joint, a little point and shoot. Someone broke in my car and stole it. Stole my brand new iPad with it too. I couldn't believe it. I was sick. I was in a parking lot that had a parking attendant. I'm like, it should never happen right there. You know what I'm saying? Car insurance, the biggest scam in the world, man. I've had so much. I'm not about to go on a rant on that shit. I'm gonna just end with this. Being a creative is one of the most unique experiences you can have, you know? It takes a real level of delusional belief to know that you can put your all into something and there will be a return on your investment. We spend so much money on equipment. We spend so much money on and time and effort on gigs that don't pay us back. We spend so much emotional investment on just trying to be helpful to people and help them bring their visions to life that we don't be getting paid for. You know what I'm saying? And it makes you question yourself often, make you say, why? Why am I doing this? You know what I'm saying? And you feel crazy because you want to just stop and quit. And you can't. You can't, you feel me? Because you would feel crazy if you didn't do it. You would feel like, what was this for? You know, thank God I have a girlfriend, a partner who loves me enough to understand me and know that when I say I don't love nothing as much as I love this shit, she knows exactly what I mean. It's a part of my spirit. It's a part of my fabric. It's a part of how I move. It's a part of how I wake up. I wake up writing notes of ideas for films and story development things and shit. You feel me? I love this shit. And I can't stop. I just can't, you know? So you got to do what you got to do to survive, but you have to make time to keep creating. It's how you breathe. You know, expressing yourself artistically is how you survive. It's how you breathe. It is a form of air. If you really love this shit, you dig. And, you know, some of the edits that I put up on this page, you know, it may end up looking old. It might just be recaps. It may be almost like them Instagram brain dumps, you know, where you just got a bunch of shit and it's all compiled into one little life dump. But I'm going to put it out. I'm going to put some stuff out. And I appreciate every person who comes to my page and doesn't think I'm crazy, supports my journey, shows me love, subscribes, you know what I'm saying, shares my shit with somebody else who they think that they might value who I am or what I do. And, you know, I just look forward to bringing y'all along on the journey with me as I continue this shit. Because luckily, the best part of being a filmmaker and a photographer and a creative producer and director and all this other kind of shit is that it's an old man's game. You know, I could do this shit until I'm 99. It's not like being in the NBA. It's not like being a supermodel. You know, on the Tyra Banks shit. It's like there's no place where you phase out and age out. You do this shit till you drop. And there's nothing else I would want to do until I drop, if I'm being completely honest about it. So I'm excited, you know. I'm excited to keep creating and get back in my bag. I'm working on something real unique right now. I can't wait to share once I finally get there. And that's kind of been keeping me driven as well for these last few months, you know. Just falling back in love with the process of creating from scratch, you know. And that's pretty much it, man. That's where I've been at. And hey, glad to have y'all here with me. That's it. Peace.